Movieology is brought to you by American Vision. Long before he met Shrek, the notorious fighter, lover, and outlaw, Puss in Boots had an adventure of his own, seeking to clear his name? Unintentionally becoming a hero and thought a criminal overnight, Puss lost all that he had going for him as an adolescent in the kitty orphanage. Forced to abandon his sweet mother and dear friend Humpty Alexander Dumpty, Puss chooses a life of serving his shady reputation till he crosses paths with the tough and street-smart Kitty Softpaws, who's in league with Humpty Dumpty searching for the golden goose. This is the true story of the cat, the myth, the legend, and the boots. Puss in Boots stars Antonio Banderas, Salma Hayek, and Zach Galifianakis. It was directed by Chris Miller. Going in to watch Puss in Boots, I very much expected a typical Shrek-like fare. But Puss in Boots is all about the cat's own movie, leaving out just about all the characters you know from Shrek films. This cat stands alone. Puss is a great, legendary, and frisky star in his own adventure. Also, it's refreshingly lacking 90% of the crude humor in Shrek films, probably aiming to appeal to a wider audience. Who knows? Whatever the case is, this felt right for the story, to keep the humor out of the litter box, and I personally would be more comfortable sharing this film with young children without fear that the little people will succumb to such hairballs. The movie's visual look and feel harkens to beautiful storybook fairy tales, and it's really stunning. All the animated characters feel lifelike in spite of their caricature human forms. The style of Puss himself heavily depends on the inspiration of his character Zorro, from the swashbuckling sword-fighting action style down to the Mask of Zorro-inspired soundtrack. If you had any doubt about the production quality before, doubt no more. Puss in Boots' visuals, action, and music are the stuff of legend. Okay, jumping around in the linear flow of Puss's life, we see the story of how the Grimalkin was lovingly raised by Imelda, the keeper of the Spanish orphanage. She encourages Puss to be courageous, honorable, and the village's hero. While Puss was learning well from his mother, he was also having fun with his best friend Humpty, who turned out to be something of a rotten egg serving his own selfish ambitions. But Humpty doesn't see himself as the villain in the story, which ultimately leads to a bitter rift between these friends that are closer than brothers. This is the setup for the cat's life adventure, and ultimately where the message of forgiveness and mercy come into play. So as we well know, good eye candy like this in a DreamWorks animation film doesn't usually make up for a repugnant storyline. Puss in Boots isn't so much a bad, weak, or poorly told story, but it is overwhelmingly a copycat of other films. A number of ideas, bits of dialogue, jokes, and plot devices are stolen from other movies. Nearly everything that's great about Puss in Boots is a parody of something in another great movie. At times it is hard to tell whether the target audience is adults or kids. Whenever a scene has a bit of the heroic feline in some harried action or a revelation about the plot, it works for everyone in the audience. But the moment the cats start talking dirty to each other, suggesting lots of sexual innuendo, I thank God for how most such dialogue goes right over children's heads. And then in the reverse, adults in the audience may be bored silly by the familiarity of it all taken from other films. The themes of the movie are praiseworthy and edifying to a point. Humpty betrays Puss early in their youth, and in return Puss is challenged to forgive Humpty so that they can work together again. Puss himself is wrongfully accused of robbing the village's treasury, so he understands what it's like to want to be good and be given a bad rap. Humpty appears to have the same problem, so Puss is willing to give Humpty a second and third chance to earn some mercy. Surprisingly, the film takes a very serious note of sacrificial love for a character to gain honor and forgiveness at the end of the film. I really appreciate this message about mercy, as it is even conveyed on one of the movie posters. Puss emphasizes that justice must be served. Then Puss goes on further to pardon criminals in spite of their need for justice. Justice condemns the thieves and liars, and it is mercy that is able to trump justice in the end, when it's necessary, when it's called for. This is surprisingly biblical and uncharacteristic of most Hollywood depictions of these themes. But the film's own message is betrayed by its worldview. Puss is a ladies' cat that can't keep his paws off the latest voluptuous temptresses that walk into his alley. While this is a little humorous in that Puss's promiscuous behavior imitates that of cats in the real world, for his character to do so contradicts the staunch themes of loyalty, honor, and honesty. Puss in Boots is dualistic in a typical humanistic fashion, serving absolutes of morality only when it feels good deep down to do so. When it feels good on the surface to be bad, and no noticeable harm is done by it, then the cats will be as carnal as they like. I give Puss in Boots 3 stars out of 5. While it is an enjoyable flick at times with stunning visual artistry and exciting music, the story is very reminiscent of hundreds of other films that tell pretty much the same story with superior cohesion. It's fun if it doesn't all seem too familiar. If you have seen Puss in Boots, let us know what you think about it in a comment. Are you planning to see this film around the holidays? Or are you going to wait? Remember, you can always join our adventurous discussion of films on the website, Movieology.tv, the source for worldview enthusiast news, reviews, and discussion of all things film. Movieology fans like you are treated at 10% off all purchases at AmericanVision.com when you use the coupon code Hollywood during checkout. Movieology followers should like Hollywood Worldviews and the message behind the movie, 2 excellent books available at AmericanVision.com. Trying to do his little kitty thing with the big eyes. Wonder what Antonio Banderas looks like doing the kitty expression.